The moment I opened my eyes in that hospital bed, I heard my son Derek on speakerphone saying, "Yeah, cash is fine. Pick up the wheelchair today, car on Friday." My body wouldn't move, but my mind was crystal clear. He thought I was still unconscious. He kissed my forehead like some caring son and walked out whistling. But when he left, his phone call was still showing in my call log, right there on the bedside table where he'd forgotten to close it properly. That's when I knew exactly what kind of man my son had become while I lay fighting for my life. Just before you continue to watch, please subscribe to this channel and like this video. It would encourage and help us keep creating amazing content for you. All right, back to the story. I closed my eyes and started planning. Not revenge exactly, but something better. A lesson he'd never forget. The fog in my head cleared slowly, like morning mist burning off concrete. I'd been in this hospital bed for 3 weeks after the stroke hit me at work. My fingers could barely twitch, but my hearing worked perfectly. That's when I heard Derek's voice, loud and clear on speaker. "Yeah, cash is fine. Pick up the wheelchair today, car on Friday." My own son selling my things while I couldn't even speak. The medical wheelchair they'd brought for me. My truck I'd worked 15 years to pay off. He hung up, walked over, and kissed my forehead like he was some devoted son. "Rest up, Dad," he whispered, then walked out humming. The moment he left, I saw it. His phone call still showing on my screen where he'd been using my phone. The call log proved everything. 3 calls to buyers, 2 to someone named Cash Mike, 1 to a storage facility. My heart monitor stayed steady, but inside I was calculating. I shut my eyes and let him think I was still gone. Sometimes the best move is no move at all. Yet. They discharged me on a Tuesday morning. Derek picked me up in his girlfriend's car, not my truck. "Sold it for repairs," he said, without meeting my eyes. The drive home felt like entering a crime scene. My living room looked like it had been robbed by professionals. The 65-inch TV I'd bought last Black Friday, gone. My complete tool set, inherited from my father, vanished. Even my leather recliner where I'd watched 20 years of Cowboys games had disappeared. "Where's my chair?" I asked weakly. Derek shrugged. "Had to make room for your recovery equipment." But within an hour, a stranger knocked and took the hospital wheelchair too. "Derek sold it to me yesterday," the man said, showing me the Facebook Marketplace listing on his phone. After he left, I found the crumpled printout in the kitchen trash. My wheelchair, my TV, my tools, all listed with photos taken in my own house while I was dying in the hospital. I sat on the floor where my recliner used to be and decided something important. I'd play weak. I'd play broken. Let him think the stroke took more than just my mobility. Derek showed up Wednesday with a can of chicken soup and enough fake sympathy to choke a horse. "How you feeling, Dad?" He set the soup on my empty counter where my microwave used to be. "Had to cover some payments while you were out. You understand, right?" He said it casual, like selling your comatose father's belongings was normal Tuesday behavior. I nodded slowly, letting my hand shake as I reached for the soup. "Hard to remember things," I mumbled, playing up the confusion. He relaxed instantly, his shoulders dropping with relief. "Yeah, the doctor said that might happen. Don't worry about anything. I'm handling all your finances." That's when I noticed my phone felt different. The banking apps I'd always used weren't sending alerts anymore. When Derek wasn't looking, I checked the settings. Every single notification had been turned off. Text alerts, email alerts, even the security warnings. He'd been in my phone while I was unconscious, making sure I wouldn't see what he was doing. I looked at him laughing at something on his phone, probably planning his next sale, and felt something cold settle in my chest. My own son had turned into a vulture. Thursday morning, I waited until Derek left, then called my buddy Hal from the garage. 30 years of friendship meant I didn't need to explain much. "Hal, I need your eyes on something," I whispered, still playing up the weakness in case anyone was listening. My truck might be online somewhere. Within an hour, Hal texted me screenshots that made my blood boil. My Ford F-150, the one with the custom toolbox I'd welded myself, listed for quick sale. The license plates were visible in every photo. My plates, my registration sticker, even the Cowboys decal I'd put on the bumper. Found your tools too, Hal texted next. My entire workshop being sold piecemeal. The table saw my wife bought me before she passed. The air compressor I'd rebuilt 3 times rather than replace. Everything tagged with moving sale, must go. But Derek had been smarter than I'd thought. The seller name was Mike D, and the phone number wasn't his. I saved every screenshot, every listing, every piece of evidence. This wasn't confusion or desperation. This was systematic theft by the one person who should have protected me. I still didn't confront him. Not yet. First, I needed to know exactly how deep this betrayal went. Friday afternoon, while Derek was out spending my money, I made my way to the garage workshop. My legs felt like jelly after 3 weeks in bed, but anger is excellent fuel. Behind the false panel where I'd hidden important papers since the divorce, everything remained untouched. My key ring with spares to everything I owned, the original titles to my vehicles, an envelope with $3,000 in cash I'd hidden for real emergencies, and most importantly, the backup drives with all my business records, client lists, and contracts from 20 years of handyman work. Derek had missed it all because he'd never paid attention when I tried to teach him the business. Too boring, he said. Real men don't crawl under houses, he said. Now his ignorance would cost him. I spent an hour doing slow laps in the hallway, building my strength back. Each step hurt, but each step also meant I was closer to standing tall when the moment came. I wasn't just getting my body back. I was preparing for war. By evening, I could walk to the kitchen without holding the wall. Tomorrow I'd be even stronger. And Derek had no idea his weak, confused father was actually counting down to Judgment Day.
Saturday morning, I tested Derek's heart with the simplest request. Son, could you spot me $40 for groceries? I made my voice extra shaky, sold the performance completely. The bank card isn't working. Derek sighed like I'd asked for his kidney. Dad, money's really tight right now. It's all tied up in investments. Investments. That's what he called spending my money. He patted my shoulder with fake concern. Maybe next week, okay? You've got soup still, right? Then he left to meet friends, probably at some expensive restaurant. I opened my empty fridge and stared at nothing. 1 can of soup, half a loaf of bread, and a jar of peanut butter I'd been rationing. My son had sold everything I owned and couldn't spare $40 for his father's food. That settled it. His heart was the problem, not his wallet. He'd chosen greed over family. Treated me like I was already dead. Fine. If he wanted to act like I didn't exist, I'd show him what it really meant to be invisible. I'd move in shadows, work in silence, and hit him where it hurt most. His comfort, his image, his easy life built on my broken back. Sunday night, I opened Instagram on my phone. I never used it, but Derek posted everything there like his life was a movie. The latest story made me grip the phone until my knuckles went white. There he was, popping champagne bottles in a house I didn't recognize. New rental, from the looks of it. Marble counters, stainless steel appliances, the kind of place that cost $3,000 a month minimum. He wore my old golf hat, the one from Augusta that cost me $200. In the background, I spotted my tools mounted on his garage wall like trophies. I screenshotted everything, every story, every post, every bragger's caption about leveling up and making moves. The timestamp showed he'd posted these while I was eating peanut butter for dinner. I zoomed in on one photo and found the real gold.
his new address visible on a package by the door. 4427 Oak Ridge Drive. I knew that neighborhood. Knew it cost more per month than I'd made in my best years. One more week, I told myself. One more week of playing dead while I gathered strength and evidence. Then I'd show up at that fancy door and remind him who really built everything he thought he owned. Monday morning, I started building my crew. Not for revenge, but for witnesses. Mrs. Ortiz next door had seen Derek loading my furniture into a rental truck. "I thought you were moving," she said, shaking her head. "That boy told me you asked him to handle everything." I wrote her statement down, had her sign it. Next came Reese at the bank, the teller who'd handled my accounts for 15 years. "Mr. Thompson, we noticed unusual activity, but Derek had power of attorney papers I'd never signed. We'd deal with that later." Finally, Hal agreed to help with the technical stuff. "Whatever you need, brother." That boy crossed the line. No drama, no threats, just quiet preparation. I made a handwritten list of everything missing down to the last socket wrench. The wheelchair, $800. The truck, $12,000. The tools, probably $5,000 more. My furniture, electronics, even my father's watch, all gone while I fought to stay alive. But I wasn't building a case for court. Not yet. I was building something better. A perfect trap that would teach my son the difference between taking and earning. Tuesday afternoon, I spread everything across my kitchen table like a general planning a battle. Receipts for every tool, every piece of furniture, every electronic Derek had sold. Photos from before my stroke showing my fully furnished house. The truck title still in my name only, Derek's big mistake. The storage unit lease for my larger tools, also still mine. Serial numbers for the expensive items, all documented in my insurance papers. The Facebook screenshots Hal had collected, showing Derek selling items he didn't own. Even better, Derek had been sloppy. Half the items were listed as my dad's or inherited from father. His own words proving he knew they weren't his to sell. I had real options now. I could call the police, file charges, make this criminal. Or I could handle this my way. Teach him a lesson that would stick longer than any jail time. I ran my finger down the list and stopped at the truck. That would be first. Clean, legal, and it would send a message he couldn't ignore. Tomorrow night, I'd take back what was mine. And Derek would wake up to his first real consequence in 32 years of soft living. Wednesday at midnight, Hal picked me up 2 blocks from my house. We drove in silence to Oak Ridge Drive, where my truck sat in Derek's driveway like a trophy. The spare key felt cold in my hand, familiar as a handshake. I slid into the driver's seat, breathing in the smell of my own vehicle. Coffee stains, WD-40, 20 years of honest work. The engine turned over on the first try, purring like it knew it was coming home. I drove it back to my house while Hal followed. Parked it in my garage, shut the door, and stood there grinning like I'd won the lottery. First victory in a long war. The title was in my name. The key was mine. The law was on my side. Let Derek call the cops if he wanted. Let him explain how his dead father's truck grew legs and walked home. I texted Hal, Phase 1 complete. He texted back a thumbs up. Tomorrow morning, Derek would walk outside to find an empty driveway and a reality check. He'd panic, make phone calls, maybe even file a report. And I'd be sitting in my kitchen, sipping coffee, playing confused when he called. "Maybe you parked it somewhere else, son. You know how forgetful you've been lately." My phone rang at 6:47 a.m., Derek's name flashing angry red on the screen. Dad, the truck's gone. Someone stole my truck." His voice cracked with panic, probably standing in his empty driveway in his boxers. "Your truck?" I yawned into the phone, playing up the confusion. "I thought you sold my truck for medical bills." No, yes, but I bought it back and now it's gone. The lie came so easy to him. Maybe you parked it wrong, son. That neighborhood has strict rules. He actually cursed at me, then caught himself. I have to handle this. I'll call you later. He hung up without saying goodbye. I walked to my garage, ran my hand along my truck's hood, and smiled. Let him file a report. Let him tell the police how his father's truck, still titled to his father, mysteriously disappeared from his driveway. I had the title, the registration, the insurance papers. All he had was a story full of holes. Phase 2 would come tonight. Time to pay my successful son a visit. Time to stand up straight, drop the act, and watch his face when he realized his weak-old father had been playing him like a fiddle.
Thursday evening, I walked into Derek's rental house like I owned it. No knock, just used the spare key under the fake rock. He'd learned that from me. He was in the living room with 3 friends, laughing about some game, my father's watch gleaming on his wrist. The laughter died when they saw me. Not shuffling, not shaking, but standing tall and strong. "Hello, son." I slammed a manila folder on his glass coffee table hard enough to make everyone jump. "Enjoy this place while it lasts, because I built everything you're sitting on, and I can tear it all down with my own hands." Derek's mouth opened and closed like a fish. His friends looked between us, sensing the danger in the air. "Dad, you're walking fine." "Surprise," I said flatly. "Turns out betrayal is excellent physical therapy." I opened the folder, spreading out the evidence. Screenshots, receipts, photos. Every single thing you sold, documented. Every lie you told, recorded. Every dollar you stole, counted. His smile had completely died, replaced by something between fear and anger. "Now let's talk about how you're going to make this right. Or I can make some calls, and you can explain to a judge why you robbed your comatose father." The room was silent, except for someone's beer can hitting the floor. Friday morning, I started with the easy stuff. Derek had used my credit cards for his shopping sprees, keeping them on file at his favorite stores. I walked into Best Buy with receipts dated during my coma. "I'd like to return this TV," I told the manager, showing the receipt. "My son bought it while I was hospitalized, without permission." The manager checked the system. Sure enough, the 75-inch Samsung delivered to Derek's address. "We can process a return within 30 days, Mr. Thompson." Next came the appliance store. The ice maker, the wine fridge, the espresso machine, all bought with my cards while I was unconscious. Some were outside the return window, but I canceled all the extended warranties and service plans. Hundreds of dollars monthly that Derek wouldn't notice until things started breaking. By noon, I'd visited 6 stores. Returns processed, subscriptions canceled, auto delivery orders stopped. Every luxury Derek had surrounded himself with started evaporating. The best part? He wouldn't know until delivery trucks started showing up to take things back, until his morning coffee machine stopped working, until his ice maker went silent. Death by 1,000 small cuts, just like he'd done to me. Saturday at the bank felt like taking back my life one password at a time. Reese helped me change every login, freeze every automatic transfer, and remove all devices except my phone. "We're also seeing several unauthorized access attempts from another device," she said, showing me the logs. "Derek's phone trying to get into my accounts every few hours." "Block it all," I said. We set up 2-factor authentication, new security questions, even a phone call verification for any transfer over $50. Derek's weekly automatic transfer of $200 from my checking account? Canceled. His gas card linked to my account? Deactivated. The credit card he'd added to his Apple Pay? Frozen solid.
That night, I got a text from him. "Dad, my card got declined at dinner. Can you check your accounts?" I texted back, "Everything looks fine to me. Maybe try using your own money." 20 minutes later, another text. "This isn't funny." No, it wasn't funny. It was justice, and I was just getting started. Every financial pipe he'd connected to my life was getting cut one by one until he remembered what it felt like to actually work for something. Sunday marked my return to real work. I called 5 of my oldest handyman clients, the ones who'd stuck with me for 20 years. "I'm back from medical leave," I told each one. "First job is free," my way of saying thanks for your patience. By Monday, I had a full week booked. Mrs. Anderson needed her deck repaired. The Johnsons wanted a bathroom remodel. Simple jobs my hands remembered even after the stroke. The money started flowing again, my money, earned with my sweat. Even better, word spread fast. Thompson's back and better than ever. My tools started returning too. Hal had put the word out and people felt guilty. "Sir, I bought this from Derek, but it doesn't feel right keeping it." A drill here, a saw there, slowly rebuilding my workshop. One guy even drove an hour to return my father's level, said he couldn't sleep knowing it wasn't really for sale. By week's end, I had $800 in cash and half my tools back. My body ached, but it was good pain. Honest pain, the kind that meant I was building something instead of watching it get torn down. Derek still hadn't figured out that his weak father was out-earning him with a bad leg and borrowed tools. The trap was almost too easy. We posted a generator on Facebook Marketplace under Hal's name, same model as the one Derek sold, price to move. Derek bit within 5 minutes. "Hey, I can pick this up today. Cash ready." When he showed up at Hal's garage, I was waiting with my phone recording. "Oh, hey, Dad," Derek said, trying to play casual, "just helping Hal with a sale." "Really? Because you just told him you have paperwork proving you own this generator? My generator?" I held up the original receipt. Derek's face went white. "It's a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding. You're on video claiming ownership of something you stole." I played back the audio of him saying he had full authority to sell it. "That's fraud, son. That's criminal." He tried to leave, but I wasn't done. "Here's what happens now. You're going to return every dime you made from selling my things, or this video goes to the police along with everything else." "You wouldn't do that to your own son." "You sold my wheelchair while I was in a coma. Let's talk about what family wouldn't do." His hands shook as he got back in his car. Check and mate. Tuesday was refund day. I'd tracked down where Derek bought his fancy appliances with my money. The washer and dryer set from Home Depot, delivered to his rental house just 2 weeks ago. I walked in with the receipt and my ID. This was purchased with my card while I was hospitalized. I need it returned. The manager pulled up the order. "We can arrange a pickup, Mr. Thompson. Full refund to your card." I watched from across the street as the delivery truck pulled up to Derek's house. He came out arguing, waving his hands, probably claiming some mistake, but the drivers had their orders. They loaded both machines while Derek stood there in his designer jeans, realizing he'd have to go to a laundromat like regular people. Next came the furniture store where he'd bought a complete bedroom set on my credit. Same story, same result. By evening, his Instagram had gone quiet. No more champagne videos from his empty house. The kingdom he'd built with stolen money was crumbling one repossession at a time. And the beautiful part? Everything was legal. Everything was documented. He'd stolen from me, and I was just taking it back. Wednesday morning, I knocked on Derek's door at 7 sharp. "Get dressed. We're going on a trip." He opened the door looking rough. Unshaven, bags under his eyes, wearing the same shirt from yesterday. "Dad, I can't deal with this right now." "You can, and you will. Get in the truck." The truck he'd sold. The irony wasn't lost on either of us. Our first stop was Mr. Garcia's house, the Vietnam vet Derek had sold my pressure washer to. "This is my son," I said when Mr. Garcia answered. "He has something to say." Derek stood there like a kid caught stealing candy. I sold you something that wasn't mine to sell. I'm sorry." Mr. Garcia looked between us, understanding immediately. "Keep it, son. Your father already made it right." Next was Mrs. Foster, the single mom who'd bought my toolkit. Derek had to stand there while I handed her $200 in cash, double what she'd paid. "For your trouble," I said. She tried to refuse, but I insisted. 4 more stops, each one forcing Derek to face the people he'd cheated. By the last house, he wasn't just embarrassed, he was broken. Finally seeing himself through their eyes, not a successful man, but a thief who robbed his own father. Thursday night, kitchen table conference. I spread everything out like a prosecutor. Screenshots of every sale, recordings of his lies, bank statements showing the theft. "Here's your choice," I said, keeping my voice steady. "Work it off with me, pay back every cent you stole, or I file charges. But just on one thing." Derek tried to smirk, some of his old arrogance creeping back. "You won't turn in your own son. Mom would never forgive you. Your mother died believing you were a good man. Thank God she never saw this." That shut him up. "I'm not filing on everything, just one item. Guess which one?" His face changed as he figured it out. "The wheelchair." "Bingo. Medical equipment fraud. Federal crime. You sold a disabled man's wheelchair while he was in a coma. How do you think that plays in court?" "You're bluffing." I pulled out my phone, showed him the non-emergency police line already dialed. "Try me, or pick up a hammer tomorrow at 5 a.m. and start earning your way back to human." He stared at the phone, then at the evidence, then at me. His father, who'd worked every day of his life, while Derek looked for shortcuts. "You won't really call." I pressed dial. The officer arrived Friday morning, taking notes in my living room while Derek watched from the hallway. "The wheelchair was prescribed medical equipment, Mr. Thompson," I explained, showing the documentation. "My son sold it while I was in a coma. Here's the proof." The officer examined the Facebook listing, the messages between Derek and the buyer, the hospital paperwork showing I needed it. "This is theft of medical equipment, Mr. Thompson. Do you want to press charges?" I looked at Derek, let him sweat for a long moment. "I want it documented. Whether I press charges depends on my son's next choices." The officer nodded, filled out the report, and gave me a case number. "You have 2 years to decide on prosecution. These cases usually result in jail time." After he left, Derek came into the living room, pale and shaking. "You really did it." "I documented it. What happens next is up to you. Tomorrow, 4:45 a.m., you're in my truck, ready to work. Every penny you make goes toward paying people back. Or Monday, I press charges." He didn't sleep that night. I know, because I didn't either. Watching my security camera as he paced his empty house, finally understanding that Daddy's money had run out. Saturday, 4:45 a.m. came hard for Derek. He stumbled to my truck looking like death warmed over. I handed him work gloves and pointed to the tools. "Today we're replacing Mrs. Kim's fence. Tomorrow, the Henderson's water heater. Full schedule all week." He worked like I'd never seen him work, digging post holes, mixing concrete, hauling lumber. Every hour I put cash in a clear jar labeled "paying it back." $20, $40, $60. By noon he was drenched in sweat, hands blistering. "I can't do this every day," he gasped. "I did it for 40 years to pay for your life. You can do it for 1 year to pay it back." Sunday was worse, crawling under the Henderson's house to install the water heater.
He threw up twice from the smell and claustrophobia, but he kept working, watching that jar fill up slowly. By week 3, his soft hands had turned to leather. His designer clothes were replaced with Goodwill work gear. The jar held $800. Only $20,000 to go. But something else was happening. Mrs. Kim brought us lemonade and told Derek he'd done beautiful work. Mr. Henderson shook his hand, said he was proud to see him following in my footsteps. For the first time in his life, he was earning respect instead of demanding it. Tuesday of week 4, my dash cam caught everything. Derek opened my glove box at lunch, pulled out the $10 bill I'd left as bait, and slipped it into his pocket. Such a small theft, after everything else, but it showed his real character. I didn't say anything, just sent him the video that night with no message. He watched himself on that tiny screen, looking around first, making sure I wasn't watching, then taking money from his own father who was teaching him to earn honestly. He showed up Wednesday with the $10 and something else. Shame. Real shame. Not the fake remorse he'd been selling. I don't even know why I took it. It's like I can't help myself. That's the first honest thing you've said in years. We worked in silence that day, but it was different. He wasn't pretending anymore. Every board he cut, every nail he drove, he was present, learning. At lunch, he asked, "How did you do this for 40 years? Because I had a family to support? Because work meant something? Because I could look at myself in the mirror?" He nodded, went back to work. The jar got heavier. His conscience, hopefully, got lighter.
Thursday night, Derek was grilling burgers with 2 friends when the police cruiser pulled up. The same officer from the wheelchair report, this time with papers. "Derek Thompson, we need to ask you about the sale of medical equipment belonging to your father." His friends watched as Derek got handcuffed, read his rights, walked to the cruiser. The hamburgers burned on the grill. "I posted bail Friday morning with one condition written on a napkin. Rehab and restitution or you're on your own." Derek sat in my truck afterward, still wearing the jail clothes. "Rehab? I don't have a drug problem." "Not drugs. Your problem is deeper. You can't stop taking what isn't yours. There's a program for that. 12 weeks, outpatient, evenings after work. And if I don't, then I don't post bail next time. And there will be a next time. Because thieves don't stop until someone stops them." He signed up that afternoon, Tuesdays and Thursdays, 6 p.m., sitting in a circle with other people who destroyed their families for money. The first night, he came back quiet. The second week, he came back crying. By week 6, he came back determined. "I'm going to pay everyone back," he said, "with interest." The jar kept filling. The work kept coming. Slowly, Derek was becoming somewhat his mother would have recognized. 1 year. That's what it took. 365 days of dawn wake-ups, brutal labor, and that glass jar slowly filling. Derek sold his Audi, moved into a studio apartment, ate rice and beans like I had when I was building my business. Every Friday, we'd count the money together, write checks to the people he'd cheated. Mr. Garcia got his money back plus 50%. Mrs. Foster got double. Even returned money to buyers who'd unknowingly bought stolen goods. The wheelchair was the last payment. $800 plus another $400 for the pain of it. I made Derek deliver it in person to the medical supply company, explained what he'd done, apologized to the manager. The man looked at us both, then did something unexpected. He shook Derek's hand. "Takes guts to make things right," he said. "Most people just run." That night, Derek sat in my kitchen. No longer empty, slowly refurnished with my earnings, and actually smiled. Not his old cocky smirk, but something real. "I did it! I paid it all back." "You paid the money back," I corrected. "Trust takes longer." He nodded, understanding. We both knew the ledger wasn't really balanced. Maybe never would be. But it was a start. Today, my shop hums with activity again. Real tools on real walls, bought with real money. Derek shows up Sundays to help with overflow work. Not for money anymore, just to help. Last week he hugged me. First real hug in years. Not wanting anything, not manipulating. Just a son hugging his father. I'm sorry, Dad. Really sorry, not just for the money, but for who I became. I hugged him back, but with boundaries made of steel. You touch what's mine again, anything, even a paperclip, and you lose me forever. No third chances, no more forgiveness. You're out of my life permanently. He pulled back, looked me in the eye. I understand. I won't let you down again. Prove it, not with words, with years. He nodded and went back to organizing drill bits. The son I'd lost somewhere in his 20s may be finding his way back. But I keep the security cameras running, lock my truck every night, count my tools each morning. Because love doesn't mean being stupid, and forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. He broke something between us that might never fully heal. But watching him work, seeing him refuse payment, hearing him tell his friends he's learning from the best handyman in the state, his father, maybe broken things can still function, just differently than before. And that's enough. For now. If you enjoyed this story, make sure to like this video, comment, and smash the subscribe button. Also, check out other videos on the channel. We've got more interesting stories for you.